All right, everyone. We're gonna start. Welcome to our first meeting of the semester. Our speaker is Miss Jamie Meeks. She's a sports dietitian for the Saints. So this is so exciting. We're so happy that you come and talk with us and just give us an insight about your journey in being a sports dietitian. Thank you.
All right. Just to kind of get to know everybody here, are there any of you that are doing like the this sport nutrition work with the athletics? Okay, cool. What teams are y'all with? Football versus football. Doing fueling station stuff, or y'all get to do anything like in the nutrition part yet? Smoothies. Yes, that's where it all begins. And look, I've been doing this for 15 years now, and I still make smoothies, so it's just part of it. So don't think that it's just crazy work. All right. So what I'm going to talk about today is just a day in the life of being a dietitian at the New Orleans Saints. My journey to this job, and then also just like regular in-season duties as a sports dietitian. I'm going to talk about obviously my Saints Day, but it can translate to a lot of other sports, collegiate, not just football, a lot of others. Well, all right. This is a video I made for the Professional Football Registered Dietitian Society. They did like a day in the life Instagram type of reel. Very proud of this because I made this reel. But this will give you kind of an overview of what I'm going to talk about later on.
Welcome to a day in the life of the New Orleans Saints sports dietitians. We wear many hats, but all with one mission: to keep our guys fueled and ready for game day. We start with food, working alongside our Saints chefs and cafeteria crew to make sure every meal hits performance goals. From breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, fueling never stops. Nutrition education happens every day, whether it's on our touch screens or one-on-one combos. Teaching guys how to fuel smarter is just as important as feeding them. We track hydration and body weight weekly. Small changes can mean big impacts on performance, especially down here in our Louisiana heat. Injuries do happen, unfortunately, but we're here for those guys, designing nutrition and supplementation plans that reinforce healing and support their comeback. We also monitor key nutrients like vitamin D to keep immune system strong and our players resilient all season long. Post lift and practice recovery shakes are a bit tedious, but well worth it. Everyone is individualized, tailored to player goals, workload, and recovery needs. We run DEXA scans to track body composition and explain results so that our players understand what's driving their performance. On practice days, our focus shifts to execution, setting up hydration and fueling strategies designed to sustain energy, optimize recovery, and protect our players from dehydration and fatigue from start to finish. And of course, there's the admin work. Every meal at the facility, Superdome, and on the road is planned, coordinated, and executed down to the last minute, no matter where we play. This entails countless menu plans, calls with hotels, stadium kitchens, and restaurants, and close contact with our Saints ops team. From budget management to vendor payments, we handle it all, making sure our fueling system stays stocked and running. And beyond the logistics, we manage data for every athlete, tracking weight, hydration, nutrition, and supplements to keep performance dialed in every day. Before kickoff, it's all hands on deck, restocking, packing, and double checking every detail for travel and game day. All of this happens day in and day out, every game. It takes passion, drive, and dedication, and a deep understanding of the science behind performance nutrition. Win or lose, we stand steady for our guys. Through it all, we're proud to be the constant, fueling the Saints and fueling the mission.
That kind of gives you a look at our day, and that's the in season, but I'll go a little bit more in detail. What I did want to start with was a little bit about the history of sport nutrition. I still consider sport nutrition a baby profession, if that makes sense. I know you'll see like the 1900s right here, but if you look at it, like in the 1930s, really it didn't begin in the U.S. It was in Sweden when exercise phys labs started to like kind of get into like the athlete world. The main focus was just carbohydrate and fat metabolism. And then 30 years later, they started studying muscle glycogen and then also that link to prolonged exercise. And then they had different methods that they developed to measure human tissue and then the responses to exercise. Also in 1965, that's when Gatorade was developed, and that happened at the University of Florida. Obviously super hot, humid, just like it is here. And their football players were just like dropping like flies. So the coach asked the team doctor, like, you need to figure something out to keep our guys from just like falling out. And so again, this like glycogen and carbohydrate recent studies, he kind of took that and formulated this actually disgusting mix of sugar and salt and water. And that's when Gatorade was born. Obviously it has evolved since then, but it truly was made for athletes for the hydration and replenishment of electrolytes. But a decade later, it expanded, the research expanded into the US. The research went into runners and cyclists, again, more glycogen research, and also some research in the military and astronaut training. In the 80s, it began translating into real world performance. And that's when these exercise physiologists started collaborating with dietitians. Sport nutrition emerged as a new field around that time. But really, they grouped athletes as just endurance and just strength. So you'll see some older research studies like, okay, for endurance, their carbohydrate needs are 5 to 8 grams per kilogram. At strength, they are It's evolved since then, but that's where it started. In the 90s, that is when they started doing a lot more research, and athletes were beginning to train longer and harder. So they needed nutrition to make an impact there. So that's when nutrition was recognized as essential for performance. And then the 2000s hit. That the early 2000s is when teams started hiring slowly but surely full-time dietitians for their staff. 2010s, again, it grew. That's kind of when it skyrocketed, when teams started hiring. LSU hired me on in 2011. So like pretty much after that, you'll see like the growth of sport dietitians in sport, mostly college, really went up. And then a lot of other sports, even professional sports, followed. Present day, again, sport nutrition is really integrated across all performance and medical teams, and lots more research and stress on recovery and sleep and immune system, and more research on supplements and things of that nature. So that's where we are today. My journey. So I began here in dietetics in 2005. So when I was a senior in high school, I was getting ready to tryouts for LSU cheerleading, and one of my coaches said, "Hey, I think you should go see a dietitian to make sure that you're eating right and all this stuff." And I was like, "Okay." Well, my major that I put in at the beginning, didn't start school yet, but my major that I thought I was going to do was like pre-dentistry. Well, I went to this dietitian and it was just like mind blown. Like, oh my gosh, like I loved everything she said and everything I learned. It was a very short session, but it was really pretty much like life changing. So I went home to see if LSU had anything like for nutrition and dietetics. So I changed my major to that before it started. So I did all of my bachelor studies here. I knew that I wanted to work in my brain. I knew I wanted to work with like fitness, athlete, something. But like speaking to professors, again, that was early 2000. That really wasn't a thing. They're like, "Oh, you can probably do that on the side. I don't think there's really jobs in that world." And I was just like, okay, it's just young and dumb, and just kind of went with it. So did my internship at UAMS, that's in Little Rock. And this is before you had to have your master's to sit for the RD exam. Again, this internship was food management and clinical. There was no sports rotations. It was, again, very new profession, so they really didn't have rotations for that. But I still had in my mind that I wanted to do sports. I did all of the clinical rotations, did well in them. It was fun, but I just knew that wasn't what I truly wanted to do. So I called up the guy. Do y'all know Tavis Pitoli? He's a sports dietitian in Louisiana, and he was consulting for the Saints. And I said, you know, what's my next step to like learn about sport nutrition? He said, you need to get your master's. I was like, So I applied back at LSU for grad school, exercise physiology. And so I took the RD exam that July, and I started my master's program that August. So I had my RD. So during that time, I reached out to the athletic department and I was like, hey, I'm a dietitian. I'm willing to just volunteer my services to counsel athletes as needed. And they're like, free work? Okay. So they would call me every time they would need me to meet with somebody. So that's kind of how I slowly started getting my foot in the door. Then it turned into like team talks and just started doing a lot more. My advisor in my grad school, she was like, hey, maybe this can turn into something. You know, maybe like make a business plan for a full-time position. So that's what I did my entire last semester of grad school. I put together a business plan. Any of y'all in y'all's management class, management, you have to do a business plan. Literally, I took what I learned in that class and made a business plan for a full-time dietitian, and they liked it and they hired me. So that's when the performance nutrition started at LSU. And then about 4 years after that, I got a call from the Saints saying they were ready to hire their first full-time dietitian, and interviewed, and lo and behold, got that. Now I'm back home. I am from New Orleans. So it's kind of a crazy story how it all happened. But that was my journey. And everybody's journey is different, but here I am today. So back when I first started, literally I started from square one. There was nothing. They didn't have anything, no blueprint, nothing. So I just was like, okay, here we go. I had all these ideas, but it was baby steps. You know, they didn't have an existent budget for nutrition. They didn't have many expectations. So it was a lot of like proving myself in the role, because I was like telling them before, hey, you need to hire me because X, Y, Z. So I had to prove that right. So it was a lot of learning and observing, seeing how they did things. And then little by little, I was able to make some impact and make some changes. And as things got busier, I was like, I need help. I can't do this by myself. Because a lot of teams, they're like, oh, we want what football wants. We want what basketball wants. And so that's when I reached out to the dietetics program, and that's when the student volunteers began. So that was a fun time. Because we all learned together. Same thing with the Saints. So I was back at square one when I started, but I had done it before, so it was a little bit easier. But they never had a full-time dietitian either. So again, just kind of starting from the ground up. Same exact principles, just a different level. These guys are older. They are a little bit more in tune with their body. And I don't want to say they care more, but they care more because they do know that their body is their moneymaker, and they have to stay healthy in order to remain on the team. So nutrition does play a role in that. A lot of them don't really buy in until like their third year. Something just kind of clicks. It's like, okay. I was like, oh, now you're ready? All right, let's go. So, but it is a lot of fun with these guys, and to really see that how nutrition has really just kind of become central to these athletes. Because back then they're like, nutrition, I can eat whatever I want, you know, and these guys are just genetically blessed. And yes, a lot of them can get through, but as their bodies get older, they do need to start taking care of it, and that's where nutrition comes in. Our roles as a sports dietitian, that's where MNT comes into play. You may think that like MNT is just like for a clinical hospital, but no, you see it everywhere, no matter where you work as a dietitian. We see guys with with low iron, GI conditions, colitis, diabetes, hypertension, thyroid, food allergies. So we do deal with that, all of that. We assess supplements and also fortified foods for safety, quality, and efficacy. That's something you really don't learn a lot in your dietetic classes, are all these supplements that you see being sold. A lot of it is BS, but there are some that have some good research. And so a lot of that, like you asked, like, how do you learn about that? A lot of it is self-learning, going to conferences, reading the research. There are a lot of resources now, which is very helpful, but you're continuing to learn as the years go on. And you saw in that video when when guys get injured, that's a big part where the dietitians play a role. So we want to positively impact their performance and also reduce the time lost to injury, because they want to get back on the field, because if they are not performing, they can easily get cut, even if you're injured. So that's how it is in the NFL. So we counsel around hydration, make sure they're eating enough calories, nutrient timing, and then also implementation of injury and recovery nutrition. We do monitor body comp and weights. So we use DEXA scans for that. We do that about 3 to maybe 4 times a year. So we do see changes, and the guys love to see their results. At first, they're hesitant. They're like, I don't want to know, but they like to see, especially as time goes on, how they're improving. I'll go back to when it comes to like body image issues. We do see that at the NFL level, but while I was at LSU, I obviously worked with a lot of athletes that had eating disorders or disordered eating. A lot of the sports you'll see, track and field and gymnastics, swimming. Those are the big ones. Cheer, dance. You'll see that a lot. So I did get a lot of experience working in that realm. We oversee food and supplement procurement. So that's where like a lot of food service comes in. I'm not in the back like with a hairnet doing the food service, but a lot of the certain skills that you learn when it comes to budget and invoices and all of that administrative side of things, that does come into play with this job. And then teaching them real life skills, cooking demos, meal planning, grocery tours. Anything hands-on is very helpful. Talk about the eating disorder team, and then also very important to work with all of the other departments, whether it be the athletic training, medical staff, strength staff, and just anybody else that's like with the players all day, every day. We all work together. We all have to be on the same page to make sure that we're taking care of the whole person. So for these football players, healthy diet body is essential for their peak performance. They're always on the search for an extra edge. And I don't know if any of y'all have like watched the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, but some of these, I was watching like bobsled and stuff, like literally they're winning by 0.0125. And it's insane because that little difference, they're trying to find that little edge that can help cut off that 0.0125. And I know this is bobsledding, but it's still a very elite sport. And every little thing they want to make sure is to their advantage. And nutrition can help them get that extra edge. I tell them countless hours spent in the gym and practice field, obviously essential for these guys. But if they're not really paying attention to their nutrition, they're not going to get that extra edge. So I tell them nutrition is a part of your training regimen. Nutrition and their recovery. So now back to a day in life. So when it comes to the in season, every morning looks like this. We have breakfast available, morning lifts. This is when we're restocking. Anybody that needs morning shakes or supplements, we'll do some DEXAs, meet with players, and then also before practice, we'll weigh them in. Mid-morning, we'll do a team meeting where everybody meets in the team room and the head coach speaks about our opponent or whatever they're going to be doing at practice. After that, they move into their position meetings, like D-line, DBs, wide receivers, they all break up. Well, during this time, this is when I can get a lot of my administrative stuff done. Whether we're making player plans or documenting things, orders, deliveries, lots of emails, communicate with vendors. I'll meet with team chef. I'll, speak to our medical team about things, work on injury nutrition protocols, and then also work on the coordination for team meals and food when it comes to hotel, airline, safety events. So there is a lot of communication involved with different areas, with the different cities that we travel. Your communication skills have to be on point and really have all your ducks. You have to just be a very, very organized, responsible person. Make sure all your T's are crossed, I's are dotted, because you don't want to miss anything, especially when it comes to feeding success. After meetings, this is pre-practice. We'll set up the field with hydration and fuel coolers. We'll also have the hallway with some good party snacks, because there is a big break between breakfast and practice. So we want to make sure that they have enough calories before them. Our nutrition coolers include some carbohydrate boosters and electrolytes. And we'll also set up a post-practice recovery cooler with some protein shakes and some other electrolyte items. Practice happens, we're on the sidelines with the team. We're hydrating them, anything they need, if they need a carb boost or whatever, to help them get through, especially during the hot days, come in handy a lot. Post-practice, we do weigh them out, and that shows them how much weight they lost throughout that practice. They'll have some post-practice lifts. Again, this is where recovery nutrition comes into play, the SNDs, and everything's individualized. On this level, I know it's a little bit harder sometimes on the collegiate level because there's so many athletes, but y'all might be individualized now, but a lot of these guys, we base their shakes off of, calorie needs, supplement needs, food allergies, whatever it may be. So that's good to hear that y'all are a little more individualized. We'll meet with players. They'll have lunch, afternoon meetings, where, again, whenever there are meetings, that's when the admin work gets done. And then this is just some pictures, examples. This is shake lineup. This is a program that we use to monitor their weight loss after practice. And then I believe LSU has the Teamworks Nutrition app. We use Teamworks Nutrition when building meal plans and just help them with portion control and just helping them guide them through their meal. On game day, like I said before, menu design and coordination of all meals, that's the biggest part of what we deal with for game day. We do kind of the same thing that we do at practice. We do on-field hydration, and then we also have pre-game, mid-game, and post-game food fuel for them. So it's always a lot of packing, unpacking, week by week by week. Kind of gets repetitive, but the more you do it, it's kind of like you do it in your sleep. For post-game meals, we like to use a lot of local restaurants to that city, just kind of change it up. For those, I guess I don't want to say comfort food, but a lot of people think, oh, they must have chicken, rice, and broccoli post game, and that's far from it. A lot of guys, that's the last thing they want. So really, our goal is to get calories back in them. So we try to make it tasty and something that appeals to them. Health and injury management. So we do work hand in hand with our athletic trainers and our physicians. Like I mentioned in that video, blood work, we handle that. Hydration status, cramping issues, food allergies, GI issues. The medical team, they refer the guys to us for anything that has to deal with nutrition. So again, they're right down the hallway. So we're all pretty much on the same page, and we meet once a week as well to update everybody on each player. And then we do have injury nutrition protocols for different types of injury. So if it's a soft tissue injury, we have recommendations, tendon, ligament, bone, concussion. This is Will, who played at LSU. Food service management. Again, lots of menu design. I like to give our chef kind of like the freedom to make his own menu. And so he makes the menu, sends it to me. I'll make any changes or recommendations, send it back, and we'll do that throughout the week for the next week's menu. So it's kind of a team job, but I do like to give the chef, that's what they do, his freedom to create his menu. We do accommodate all special dietary needs, food allergies, vegetarian or vegan, and special diets. We have had a vegan, and he did very, very well. We've had people try to go vegan, and they did not go very well because they lost a lot of muscle mass because they didn't do well with their protein intake. We have a lot of guys that like to go pescatarian. And then there's the guys who like to follow TikTok trends and have questions about all the fads that I'm sure you've heard about. So we have to keep up with that and kind of clear the air when it comes to their questions on that. We deal with quantity and quality control at the practice facility, hotels, the airplane, stadiums, and then also meal scheduling, making sure that, you know, the whole building knows times when football is going to eat, when the business side is going to eat. Again, more administrative type work. We do have a food first approach, but we do have supplements available and a lot of supplement education for these guys. Again, when it comes to learning about supplements, it is a lot of self-education, research, and continuous learning because the research has evolved and it continues to come out by the day. And then, like I mentioned, like keeping up with food trends and products, it's important to keep up with that because that's what they're looking at every day. And so you want to make sure that you're on the same page with that. You know, what are our players eating? What are they reading? And who are they getting their information from? So, like some of those fad diets I was talking about, keto, vegan, gluten-free, intermittent fasting, carnivore, all sorts of stuff. So that's always that fun conversation. And then other responsibilities, creating educational material. That's always fun, being creative. Thank goodness for Canva these days because that has been a godsend, really. Sports supplement education and evaluation, very important because these guys do get drug tested, and if they're just taking any random supplement that they come across, they can test positive for advanced supplements. So very important that we stay on top of that. We deal with the guys' personal chefs and meal delivery services like food prep, rookie intro to sport nutrition. Another part of just being a dietitian is continuing education, and you learn about continuing education units to maintain your dietitian certification, and then also doing guest speaking like today. When it comes to being there's a dietitian in sports, there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. They're very long days. You do work weekends, you work holidays, you do miss out on a lot. You're always on the go, always on call, and you do have to navigate a lot of egos and a lot of stress. But there are advantages. The fun and positive environment, you know, versus the hospital, you are dealing with non-healthy people. These are healthy, thriving individuals who are driven and motivated. So it's fun to be in that type of environment. You get to see your work put into practice and pay off. And then also just nothing like being part of the team. So there's obviously pros and cons to every job. Knowing this before you get into it and being okay with it doesn't, like, you just kind of forget about it and it just becomes part of the norm. A lot of people are like, how can you have a family when you work long days? And well, as long as you have a supportive family and knowing that you cannot do it alone and you do need help, outside help, just knowing that, it makes it easier. So That's always a big question I get, but well, can I have a family? Like, whatever. I'm like, yeah, you can. You just make sure that they understand what it takes to do this job and make it work. All right. And so just the ultimate takeaway from this is, as a dietitian, you want to provide the finest resources for your athletes. Stay on top of new sport nutrition research, food trends, supplements. We like to educate our players on safe and proper fueling tactics for their lifestyle and for life after their sport. Work together with our performance team, medical, strength, sports science to provide top quality care for our guys. And then lastly, but not least, is to win, obviously. I don't know if y'all are interested in sport nutrition and kind of don't know where to start when it comes to resources. The ASPDA website, becoming a student member, is a great way to start, great resources. Their annual conference is actually in New Orleans this May. So I'll be there giving a few talks as well. So that would be a great opportunity just to kind of open your mind up to the world of sport nutrition and some dietitian field. And that's it. So if y'all have any questions? Any questions or yeah?
Now that sports nutrition has evolved, if I want to go into sports, do you think a sports center graduate school is necessary?
No. Because there are so many internship and fellowships available, and because you are getting a lot of experience right now, it doesn't need to be just like sport nutrition focus. Like I know Florida State has their like sport nutrition area. I do recommend when it comes to like your master's degree, like maybe focusing on something other than nutrition, whether it be exercise science or physiology or even psychology or something just to kind of branch out. Because you do have the good foundation of nutrition, I think it's good to have something else, some extra knowledge in a different type, similar but different type of field. Yep.
When you were talking about like mid-practice feel or mid-game fueling, was that like carb loading during halftime, or is it more like electrolytes as they're going on and off the field? So
actually both. So we'll have extra electrolytes like on the field for them, as well as carb boosters like the chews or the applesauce, or we have some bars and stuff as well. Just quick carbs, and then at halftime we have the same things as well as a little bit heavier items, whether it be like PBJ, bananas and oranges, and we'll have a little bit more time to digest it.
So you mentioned a lot of things being personalized and like taking steps for every player. Is it literally every single player on the roster?
Yeah.
Like you make.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I think we've come up with a good system. It's taken me years to like really, it's probably still not perfect, but it's taken me a long time to figure out the best way to do it. So it's not like, okay, you become a team dietitian and you just know what to do. You literally every year, and this is like this time right now, this off season is that time where we're like brainstorming, like how can we make this a little bit more efficient? How can we do this better? What will make a better impact? And I'm going on year 12 at the Saints, and I'm still doing that. So don't think that you're going to have all your ducks lined up, you know, when you get your first job, whether it be in sports or wherever you choose to work. It does take time and experience and just trial and error, really.
How many hours a week do you work in season versus off season?
Okay, so I'll tell you this. In the off season right now, I work Monday through Friday from 8 o'clock to about, stop working around 2:30 or 3 o'clock. And then during the season, it's from 7 in the morning till like 5:30 or 6. So it's not that bad, but then again, like, and that's during the season. Like camp there's longer days, but they have like these night meetings and stuff. But you are working Saturdays and Sundays, and then if you have games on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and so it does add up because you don't have those weekends during the season. You have 6 months of just working straight through, but then you also have, if you don't make playoffs, January, February, March, part of April, or you feel like a normal with a normal job with weekends. So yeah.
Is your team, like, are they also dietitians, or is she just?
Yeah, so the girl you saw in there, Meredith, she is a dietitian. She did all of her schooling at OU, as well as her internship and master's. And this was her second season working.
Also, you talked a little bit about how sometimes people's egos or opinions and how things should be done get in the way. Have you ever had to deal with like a player or somebody else on the administrative staff not taking nutrition, like sports nutrition, seriously?
Yes. I'm very lucky that our guys very respectful, and I've never had anybody like super mean or anything in my face, but like I would say early on in my years with the Saints, when nutrition was still new, like the veterans that were there, they didn't have dietitians when they were in college. So all of this was new, and they're like, that's not them, that's not them. So like it wasn't like they were mean about it, they just kind of brushed it off. I would say a lot of our older coaches and older executives, again, not mean about it, but I don't think they truly understand and appreciate what proper nutrition can do for the players. The younger coaches and staff get it. So yeah, this younger generation gonna change it. So and you deal with it, and you know, everybody deals with certain situations differently. I do not like drama or like confronting in a mean way, so I deal with it in a nice way, but which I think is all the best. But there are other ways to go about it. So don't be a know-it-all.
How big is like the staff for the sports nutrition? Is everybody kind of split off doing different things? Do you really feel like they're doing like a lot of everything?
Yeah, so it's for the Saints, it's just 2 of us. And so I'm the director and then she's the assistant, but I feel like, so I deal with a lot of the decision making and anything dealing with money and a lot of more of the administrative stuff, but we still do a lot of the manual kind of stocking and smoothie making and the stuff that you would think, oh, that's just for interns, but we don't have interns. Our staff's very small at the Saints, so we pretty much do everything. I do have a little bit more responsibility, just like again on the administrative side, but I do feel like we both do pretty much all of it.
Yeah. Is it like I don't know if you remember, but is it like typical for most NFL teams to have like small teams, or you just do those things?
Yeah. So right now, there's 17 or 18. So there's 32 teams total. There's 17 or 18 teams that have more than one full-time dietitian. There's the Texans have 3 full-time. The Raiders have 3, and Green Bay has 4. But everybody else has either 2 or 1. And then the teams that have 1, they sometimes have like a seasonal fellow or seasonal intern. So I know pro sports are, I want to say behind, but they are behind in the staffing part of it. And you do have to keep in mind, like these teams are owned by individuals, like a person owns the team, so it's their money. So they're kind of stingy with what they want to do with their money. So the more people they hire, that's more of their money that they have to pay out. So that's why you'll see smaller staffs with NFL or professional sports than with the PPOs.
Do you find it like more rewarding to work with a professional team rather than a collegiate team because they're like challenging you more, or do you find it a little bit easier to work with collegiate because like you can give them that foundational.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I really do miss the collegiate because you are that foundation and you're kind of like molding them. And I do miss that part because they are kind of like sponges. But then again, the professional side, they are a little bit more mature and like they're a little bit more patient when it comes to like learning and wanting to know the whys, the hows, the whats. And so that challenges me as a professional to stay on my you know, to really know my nutrition. And so I do feel like I've grown as a RD in the professional world. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have grown, you know, if I stayed in college, because everything has evolved altogether. But I do feel like they challenge. Yes.
Do you allow any shadowing?
So currently, no. What I do is actually this Friday, I have any of the Louisiana dietetic internships. I have them come in for like a dietetic internship day and do like a presentation and a tour and a Q&A and just kind of go around the facility. But yeah, it's pretty closed when it comes to us, which I hate because when I was here, I would have all these, you know, fellows and dietetic interns like spend 2 weeks with us. And, so that's one thing that I don't really like. But I'm always open to talking on the phone or meeting up, chatting, all of that. Yeah.
Notice anything with like the NIL campus? Have there been any states where you said have walked through the door with their own team of like chefs and maybe their own dietitians because they can afford it earlier on?
Right. So not yet, but actually during this time, the off season, they're in their hometowns and stuff, training at certain facilities where they do have like their own nutritionist or chefs and stuff. So when they get back for spring training in April, they're always like, oh, well, so-and-so told me to do this. And so it's like, all this like different information. So I haven't seen that yet with the younger guys, like coming and bringing like their own team. But usually when they come back from this break, you know, we'll hear about, oh, well, this nutritionist told me this. And my trainer told me to take this or eat this. So it's always kind of starting from scratch when they get back from those training places. But yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see the NIL athletes start to come in because I just feel like their mindset would be a little bit different since they already have the money coming in. So it will be interesting. But we haven't seen anything quite yet. So TBD.
Well, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you so much for taking the time to do that.
You know, I'm very busy.
Thank you. Our little gift for you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Great. Well, talk to y'all. They have my contact information. If y'all just want to chat, have any questions, please feel free. Always happy to help. And thank you for helping me.
Excited to get back.
Would you like to take a picture before she leaves?
Tell us what I was trying to do.
Give me a picture.
Also, on the sign-in sheet, if your name is highlighted, that means you need to pay your spring dues. They're $10 to get to apply for
Yeah,
it.
he's like,
And then if your name's not on there, just write it at the bottom.
good luck with everything. Bye.
Oh, my husband told me to tell y'all that I got a B in MNT1, and I was distraught. And he said, "Yeah, tell me you got a B, they're gonna get out. They're gonna kick you out."
got an A and M.
Over here, Louise.
Oh, great.
So for our announcements, we're gonna start with volunteer opportunities. The guide is updated and we're gonna send out the slides later, but also Ella has been sending out emails about this volunteer guide. There's a lot of cool opportunities that Landry has been working on. So I would check those out. And then for National Food Month, Dr. McKelly is gonna talk about it, about what it's gonna look like this year.
Okay, so this slide has a lot of TBDs on it because Lindsay and myself are working on the plan for when we're gonna have stuff. And so what is listed on here will definitely be happening. It's just a matter of figuring out some dates. And so one of the things that we are considering, not considering, it's definitely gonna happen, is having a Saturday morning, most likely at Knock Knock Museum, to be working with the little ones and their families to do a little cooking, kind of like, it's kind of like a cooking demo. And so we need to know if the 21st or the 28th may work better for members. And so I know it's hard to gauge, but does it matter which Saturday? If we just pick one and we put it out there, will students be okay volunteer wise? We can make it work. I'm seeing head nods. That's probably what we'll do. And so with the field trip to Fullness Farms, which is right down the road apparently, whatever weekend we do Knock Knock, the following weekend or vice versa, we'll do the Fullness, so that because that will be on a Sunday, kind of midday-ish, early afternoon. We don't want to bogart your entire weekend, so we're just going to pick dates for that. We'll probably go to Fullness and see what date works best for them and then work backwards from there because Knock Knock's pretty flexible. The alumni panel, right now the plan is to have that during Ag Week on March 26th. I just got to book the Nelson building. I'm also in the process of sending out invites to alumni. I think my emails are going to people's spam. I might have to go to LinkedIn instead of using my email. But trying to put together a panel of 4 diverse alumni to come back and talk about how they are adjusting to the changes of the dietary guidelines for Americans, because it's something that we all have to adjust to, and to kind of hear what others are doing in different areas of nutrition would be interesting to hear about. And then a tabling event probably going to happen during Ag Week, depending on what their events are. They haven't released, ASA hasn't released their events yet. Usually they do like a reverse tie-dye or some sort of event that's fun for the students over near, what is it? Woodenhall. And so whatever day that happens, we were thinking about having kind of like a fun tabling event with snacks and nutrition info, just to be giving information during National Nutrition Month to a different crowd that we're used to and kind of supporting the college and all that. And then our Easter baskets kind of coincide with this time of year, since we get that done during Lent in time to get them delivered to wherever they're going to go. And so pretty much with Easter baskets, how it works best every year, for those that aren't familiar, is that I will have an Amazon wish list of items, and you can either purchase something off the wish list and have it shipped to my office or my house, however I have it set up, or you can, we'll collect money, but essentially it's easiest for us just to purchase everything that we need, so that we can make sure that the baskets are the same for all of them that we make, and that we try to make them a little bit healthier than what you would expect. So last year they went to St. Vincent de Paul, and when I delivered them, trust ours looked a lot different than the ones that were already there. The other ones were filled with candy, and ours were filled with like sun chips and weird stuff, and they liked ours better because that's what they wanted to encourage the little kids to have, was, you know, fruit snacks are okay, but if it's like, you know, no artificial colors and stuff like that, they seem to like that better. And so ours are healthy-ish Easter baskets. And so we'll be promoting that. We'll have a basket prep in Nap Hall, and Lauren and Avery are our basket chairs. They'll arrange a drop off with whoever's getting those this year. So Lindsay Smith, she couldn't be here today. She's our National Nutrition Month chair. You will most likely be hearing from her about these events directly, if not from me. And so once we have dates finalized for stuff, we'll be sending out sign-up sheets through email, all the things. So there's no shortage of stuff this year to kind of be representing National Nutrition Month. And spring break's in there. Woo-hoo.
And then our Dietitian grad school apps scholarship recipients is Carolina and Asia. You're not here
We needed
today.
one of them here today.
Yay!
Yay! Seniors trying to graduate.
So exciting. And then our January Inquiry member of the month is Lauren and Emily.
Yay!
And then we still have merch available. So pick go to Dr. McKinley's and here's the prices for it. We have $25 still for a t-shirt and $45 for a sweatshirt. I've been seeing people wear them and y'all look so cute. Look so good.
I have stuff here if you are interested in buying something tonight. But if you need to think about it, just email me.
And then, like I was saying, with a piece of paper, membership dues for the spring is $10, and you have to scan this QR code to fill out the membership form to it, and then Venmo, SNDA, LSU as soon as possible to pay your dues. And then if you've not joined this SNDA group me, it's a great way for us to communicate, or for you to ask any questions or give any type of information that you missed from the meeting. And and our upcoming spring date is going to be March 18th and April 27th at 5 in this room.
I remembered something I forgot. If you are not graduating this year, please think about running for a position.
Yes, it's gonna be so fun. Come on, do it with me.
I'll put the info. We'll put the info in the email Ella sent out, but we will have open. So Lucy's going to take over as president. So we'll have open positions of president-elect. So to be president-elect, you have to be either going into your sophomore or junior year so that you are still here to be president the following year. It's a 2-year position. And then treasurer and secretary will be open because Ella and Emily, I just called you Elizabeth. Too many E's. They're both graduating. So treasurer, secretary, 1-year positions. You can be any year to do those. And so we'll definitely put the call out for nominations in the next couple of weeks. And then towards probably the end of March, we'll do our election and we'll get that all set up so that those folks have plenty of time to work with our current board before they graduate to get situated for next year. But it's really good opportunity for leadership, good stuff for resume, all the good things.
And it's fun. And you hang out with Dr. McKinley. Come on, guys, do it.
Does anyone have any questions before we end? Wasn't she so cool?
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah, that was
speaker.
a really good speaker. Awesome. Thanks, y'all. We'll see y'all next month.